like transitioning from like place to place, like growing up, like there's always like what I feel like is there's always like a pretty prevalent street culture from city to city, state to state. You being in all of these different places and kind of just transitioning from from community to community, school to school, like was it kind of like easy to pick up on certain things, like, or just to did you see like a lot of different stuff when it came to street culture?
Yeah, I mean, it showed me so much different stuff that you couldn't even really imagine. When I talk about from being from place to place to place, like, it showed me how to maneuver throughout things because I was coming from the streets. I went to some suburban areas. I went back to the streets. Then I went to the military. It was a whole nother type of world. So it was like I done seen so many different types of world from even from going to prison. It was like I think everything that I had to do throughout life kind of built me up to be able to move about as easily. Like most people that come in contact with me will be like, he's a pretty cool, chill type of guy. Because I done seen so many different things, I'm picking up off of energy at this point because I've never been able to hold too many longevity relationships besides a couple of people. You know, I got one of my best friends that I've been knowing from day one that's here with us. It's like that's only one person out of the many of thousands of people that I've transitioned with people throughout my whole life and had to learn this dude at 7. Then I had to learn this dude at 12. Then I had to learn this dude. And everybody's position and situation is different because of their age. So you never really understand exactly what a person's thinking, how a person's moving, what a person's thoughts is because you never really around them long enough to really figure it out. So you only gonna have a couple of people that you can even be like, okay, anytime anything happens, you know this person or these people and how they move because you've watched them all the way up. Everybody else that I can name or talk about is like, what do I know them for? How long was I around them? If I was around you at 12, do I really know what you're going to do at 24? Right. Do I really know what you're going to do at 30? Do I really have a preference to be like, hey, this person should be doing this? I don't know because I don't know what all happened in between that time. I only know a few people on that type of standpoint, and that showed me to be so open but be less naive as I got older. Like, you can't just think everything's green, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of situations could turn into anything if you don't build a bond with a person type of situation.
Okay, so you transition from living with both of your parents, like on and off with your mom and dad, and then you when you go into your adolescence years of high school and stuff like that, you living with your grandmother. Is a time where you just spoke on, like, you starting to get into like other activities like gambling, maybe some other activities. Like, what I want to ask you is, at what point did you kind of like more so embrace your street side? Like, you actually start to get into stuff with your homeboys or your friends or anybody, or your own whatever. Like, at what point did that start?
That probably more so happened around like 14, 15 when I came back to Detroit. It was like you had to fit in and you had to move with what made sense. Even though I knew certain things that everybody else didn't know, it's still, if you're in a certain environment, you fit into that environment because it's natural. You kind of become a product of your environment. You don't even notice at the time. You know what I'm saying? So when I was transitioning from place to place, to thing, from situation to situation, I didn't know what I know today to be like, dang, that's why I moved like that when I was younger. That's why I did this when I was younger. I didn't know that then, but now I can sit here and elaborate on it. Like, when I came back, that was the street culture on the biggest level. It was like everybody's moving like this. You go around and no one's talking about going to go work at a job, or no one's talking about going to go do this certain thing. Everybody's in the streets. So when you're in that environment, you start picking up habits. those habits led into everything else that built me to being the person that I was. That got me into gambling. That got me into selling drugs. That got me into doing all type of stealing bikes or whatever it was that we was doing illegally or that wasn't honorable. That kind of brought me into it because you went to a place where 90% of the people are not having. So if you're not having, you're trying to hustle and find ways to have. When you're looking at BET or you're looking at a movie or you're looking at things that you like, how do I get it? And you know your mom, your dad, your grandmother, your auntie, nobody's going to provide that for you because they don't even have it. Once you realize that nobody can help you, then you get in your own bag and be like, okay, how I'm going to create something and what I'm going to be known for and what I want to do and what I'm going to let the people know that this is me. So then you start getting into that bag of being like, okay, I'm going in this way. And you start running with the wave, whatever the people you want to hang with. You could choose anything. I could have chose to be with the bookworms. I could have chose to be with the street guys. I could have chose to be at the basketball court every day because there was certain people doing that. But if I'd have been a bookworm, nobody was talking about no money in that. If I'd have been at the basketball court, nobody was talking about no money. But I was thinking how I'm going to get fresh, how I'm going to get clean, how I'm going to do this, how I'm going to do that, how I'm going to go on a trip, how I'm going to do anything, how I'm going to impress this girl. The money. So then you get into the street life, you get into gambling, and you get into all the things like that.
Right. So you don't have to elaborate on it, but I just want to know what role did you kind of play in the streets? Cause you kind of got like the guys who they in the streets just to get some money. Some guys they in the streets to like kind of prove theyself. They crashing out. They doing things just to like prove a point, stuff like that. So like who are you? Like what was your reasoning? Like you kind of like just broke it down for us, but like kind of just give us like if you could just give us like a little bit of intel on like the type of person that you were in the streets.
Me in the streets was somebody just trying to get some money and trying to be clean and fresh. Like I was the one trying to get a car all the time or go get some new shoes or go get some glasses or go get a new Alba sign or and we from the west side too, so the west side is known for more when you talk about the culture of the music or just how they move. It's like they kind of always trying to be fresh. They trying to be clean. They trying to have the girls with them and the whole 9 yards. So that was my role. It was like I wasn't really out to harm nobody. I wasn't really out to crash out. I wasn't really on it to do nothing that would harm nobody. It was more for the benefit gain of me and my people around me. Like if we going in somewhere, we bringing something back for the whole team. We going to in the store, we stealing everything out the store, but we bringing it back so everybody could eat type of situation. We wasn't necessarily doing it because it was like, oh, I'm just trying to take from this person. We never focused too much on an individual. We was going for corporations or somebody that had something that it was like, hey, this is how we can get it type of situation versus it being a crash out situation where you got a bunch of guys where they're like, oh, he did me wrong, he did me wrong, he did me wrong, where we just bullying people. We never was on that. We was more on, we gonna get some money and we gonna shine together type of situation.
Right.